British Airways and American Express have finally launched the feature that allows you to earn tier points using your British Airways Premium Plus credit card. BA has actually announced this opportunity back in December 2024, along with the overhaul of their executive club, and now 6 months later, the feature is finally live. So in today's video, we're going to go over the details of how exactly you can earn tier points using your credit card, and we'll also see if this new avenue for earning tier points actually makes the club any more attractive in terms of attaining status. And before we dive into the details, I just want to point out that if you already hold the British Airways Premium Plus card, then the offer is already live for you and you should be able to see it under the offers tab in the Amex app, and you do need to activate it before you start earning tier points from your spend. Alright, and now let's go into the details. Basically, as BA promised in December 2024, you will be able to earn up to 2,500 tier points, and actually a little bit more than that, but more on that later, in the current membership year of the Executive Club. And as many people predicted, earning the full 2,500 tier points is going to require you to spend £25,000 on your credit card. However, there are a few things here that we didn't exactly predict. First of all, the tier point earning rate is not going to be linear. Basically, the first £15,000 of spend on your credit card are going to unlock the first 750 tier points. Then the next £5,000 of spend are going to unlock another 750 tier points. And then the final £5,000 of spend, which are going to take your total spend to £25,000, are going to unlock the final 1,000 tier points. And actually doing it this way makes a lot of sense. Well, at least for Amex and BA, not necessarily us, the customers, because from Amex's point of view, the majority of people who hold the British Airways Premium Plus credit card already spend at least £15,000 a year on it, because £15,000 just happens to be the threshold at which you trigger the companion voucher. And Amex doesn't really need to incentivize those people with anything else. However, what Amex does need is to incentivize people to spend more than £15,000, and in that sense, this additional tier point offer actually helps them. The other important aspect of this scheme is that it doesn't align with your Amex membership year or with your Executive Club membership year. In fact, it doesn't actually align with anything, because basically the qualifying period that you have to achieve these spending thresholds starts from today, June 18th, 2025, and it ends on February 1st, 2026. So in fact, you just have 7 months to hit the £25,000 of spend in order to earn the full 2,500 tier points. And by the way, your spend before June 18th, so the backdated spend, is not going to be included. So essentially, Amex has given us just 7 months to achieve this quite high spending threshold in order to earn the full amount of tier points, which is actually quite strange. I mean, I can understand that, the offer began from today. Maybe there were some delays with, negotiating between Amex and BA, and they actually couldn't launch it any sooner than today. But then what I don't actually understand is why the qualification period has to end in February, on February 1st, in fact, instead of aligning with the membership year end of the Executive Club and ending in April, and also giving people a better chance to meet these spending targets. Because right now, the terms and conditions very explicitly spell out that beyond February 1st, you will not be able to earn any tier points. And by the way, it doesn't mean that the feature as a whole is going away after February 1st, because BA also says that starting from April 2026, it is going to come back, but whether it's going to be the same kind of conditions and the same spending targets or not, that remains to be seen. And then one more important aspect of this offer, which I actually have literally seen before I sat down to record this video, BA had decided to grant additional 500 tier points as a gesture of goodwill to people who already hold the British Airways Premium Plus credit card. I assume that's kind of a bit of a substitution for the fact that your spend from this year is not going to be backdated to count towards earning tier points. So who knows, maybe they will also change their mind about when the qualification period ends and extend it to April 2026, but I wouldn't count on it too much. Alright, so we have covered the bulk of the fine print associated with the offer. So what do we have in the end? Basically, you have the opportunity to earn up to 3,000 tier points if you spend £25,000 on your British Airways Premium Plus credit card from today until February 1st, 2026. And where does that leave us in terms of status? Well, to achieve bronze, for example, which is the lowest tier of the club, you need to earn 3,500 tier points. And earning 3,000 of those tier points using your credit cards is going to make a huge dent in how many more you need to earn from spending. And actually, bronze is not that bad of a status. Well, at least that's what I've been telling myself for the past couple of weeks, ever since I flew with Cathay Pacific like the other week, and my return flight earned me a total of 44 tier points, and I have realized how challenging it's going to be to requalify for status with BA. But jokes aside, bronze is actually not bad because, well, first of all, you get seat selection, yes, only 7 days before departure, but it can still save you like a ton of money because seats with BA, especially on like longer flights in business class, can be very, very pricey. And then with bronze, you also get to save a little bit of time thanks to the access to business class check-in. But then if you want to go higher and shoot for, say, silver, then earning 3,000 tier points from this offer gets you like 40% there. And then with gold, which is like, it is going to be unachievable for a lot of people, at 20,000 tier points, the 3,000 tier points that you earn from your credit card are not going to make a huge dent. In fact, I'm willing to bet that there are not going to be a lot of people for whom this additional 2,500 or 3,000 tier points are going to make it or break it in terms of whether or not they get gold. So in the end, everyone's circumstances are going to be different, and I know from reading comments online that a lot of people are disappointed in the mechanics and the thresholds that BA came forward with today. I mean, honestly, I did not expect this feature to be like a game changer, like to make it easier to earn status or significantly easier, because that would defeat the whole point of the overhaul that BA did earlier this year. And for me personally, my opinion of how hard it is to earn status with BA after the overhaul of the program hasn't really changed with this tier point offer, and it also had zero impact on how much I want to get the British Airways Premium Plus card. I actually don't plan to get it for another year, because next year is when I'm going to be eligible for the welcome bonus again, and at which point I'm going to apply for it and I'm going to trigger the companion voucher. But I have no plans to chase the spending threshold for tier points unless I'm somehow in a situation where I'm very close to, say, silver, and then spending an extra 5 or 10k on the British Airways Premium Plus would push me over the threshold. But honestly, I kind of can't imagine that being the case, because so far in 2025, it's been what, like almost 6 months now, and I've completely lost the motivation to chase status to BA, because in the past, when I, for example, took a short-haul flight, I would often upgrade to Club Europe just for the sake of earning the extra tier points. And also when I booked Avios tickets, every time I thought that this is, yes, I'm saving a lot of money, but I'm not earning any tier points at all, and like, how am I going to requalify for status? And now all of that is completely gone, and in 2025, I've already done plenty of flights with One World, including BA, Qatar, Finnair, and all of those have been redemptions, with the one exception of a couple of short Cathay Pacific flights that I booked using cash, spent £150, and earned a grand total of 44 tier points, like I said earlier. But anyway, if you are interested in the British Airways Premium Plus credit card, whether to earn tier points or just to get a companion voucher, they are currently running a promotion where the welcome bonus has been increased to 50,000 Avios, up from the regular 30,000 Avios. And I actually have a video here where I do a detailed review of this credit card. And alternatively, if you are curious about my airline loyalty strategy following the overhaul of the Executive Club, check out this video where I talk about different options I could pursue at the beginning of this year. And with that, thanks so much for joining me today, and I hope to see you in the next video.